All right, it's the big story you heard first on India Today. Handwritten notes by arms dealer Christian Michel, the middleman which was scooped by India Today's Rahul Kanwal, and now the man himself whose diary notings are creating a ripple in Delhi's power corridors is joining us live. It's over to you, Rahul.
He's the man whose secret diary notings, emails and faxes rocked Parliament all through the day today. The Congress being put under pressure. I want to go across now, live and exclusive to the United Arab Emirates. Joining us from there is Christian Michel. This is an India Today exclusive. Christian, welcome to the India Today network. I want to begin by asking you about these diary notings, your emails, your faxes that we've been able to access now. Word out is that there was a raid at the residence of somebody you know very well, Guido Hashke, at his grandmother's residence in Switzerland. That's where all these notings, all these faxes, all these emails that he claims you sent to him were recovered from. At the outset, Mr. Michel, what do you have to say about the Christian Michel's secret notes?
Yeah, well, we need to make sure we're talking about the same notes. When he was raided, they were presented in the Italian court, and every one of them was either proved to be a forgery or was taken out of context or wasn't from me.
Okay, because these are emails that you've sent across. Let's leave your handwriting on the side just for a moment. These are emails that have been sent across from your email ID to the management at Finmeccanica. And I want to quote some of these emails as well. I want to quote from the 8th of February 2008. There's a letter that you've sent saying, I have some recommendations on the VIP note. You say that the flight trial team is back in Delhi. This will be our chance to throw out competition. You go on to say the Central Vigilance Commission says if we present a powerful case and have government support, they may let us through. You also add that the chairman of the CVC is willing to be persuaded, Mr. Michel.
Well, first of all, I don't know what relevance the chairman of the CVC would have. Their job is to vet deals after they're signed, not before. So I would question that note immediately, saying it's inaccurate or is taken out of context or incomplete.
No, we have your full notes, so there's no question of anything being taken out of context or being incomplete. We have your full note that's been sent across to you. This is via a fax. I can read to you the fax number, Mr. Michel, because it's been 8 years, you may not remember. Fax number 91251 221 2220, the 4th of June 2008, sent at 7:01 p.m.
Yeah. No, the question is it complete and was it sent by me? A lot of those documents found in that briefcase have been tampered with and altered. And I have proof of that.
What proof do you have of it? Because I want to quote to you a letter that you've sent to Giacomo Saporno, fax number 00441252386484 on the 10th of April 2008. A CC is marked to Orsi and to Peter Hewlett. You say in this, the subject is VIP program. This program is passing each of its critical points. All we can say is what we have done so far. Point number one, you say, Mr. Michel, presentation of offer saw the Russians being rejected through a technicality which was no accident. You're suggesting that somehow you were able to get the Russian chopper bid rejected on a technicality, Mr. Michel.
No. Again, you're reading this the wrong way around. The Russians rejected that for a very clear reason. They didn't want to be treated the same as other suppliers. They say that they are a national industry. They're not subject to rules of Indian tender, and therefore should not be. This was a direct decision by the Russians. It was not a ploy to remove them.
So I want to quote to you from paragraph 3 of this same letter. You say in this, Mr. Michel, we are consciously and deliberately trying to disqualify competition at this stage. Now remember, we have no idea as journalists what you did. We are only quoting back to you letters you yourself sent to Mr. Orsi and to Peter Hewlett and to Giacomo Saporno. You say yourself, paragraph 3, We are consciously and deliberately trying to disqualify competition at this stage with all the risks involved of it being a single tender and going for a retender.
Right, may I answer that?
Please do, sir.
Yes. No, it is the job of all competitors to try and disqualify each other. That is what a tender is all about. That's what they do. That doesn't imply illegality. That implies doing technical studies, looking at their performances, seeing if they meet the criteria and questioning it. That is perfectly normal. That's what we're supposed to do. That's how you handle a tender. The idea of a tender is you get manufacturers together and let them fight it out and to see who has the best product. And clearly, AgustaWestland had the best product. That has not been questioned.
Sir, because right before this paragraph you say, if the competition can come through at this stage as a partially acceptable bid, next the commercial bids will be opened and we will be in trouble, Mr. Michel. These are your own words.
Yeah, well, we would be because we were very expensive. We had 3 engines. Of course we'd be in trouble. That's obvious. Even the press were writing about that at the time. That was absolutely
public domain. So you're accepting, Mr. Michel, that at least some of these documents were documents that you have knowledge of, documents that you acknowledge having sent. Is that correct?
Well, I tell you what, sir, I'll say it very plainly. If you're going to create a scandal and rescue an individual, I'm not implying your excellent media network, but I'm saying the gentleman who's responsible for all of this has to lace his activities with truth. A good lie only works if it has some true elements in it. So, of course, some of these documents will be mine and some of them will not be. And that's what I had to fight out in Italy and was accepted as such, which is why I was given in both judgments, no evidence of corruption was found.
So in the letter that I just quoted to you from the 10th of April 2008, where you say we are consciously and deliberately trying to disqualify competition at this stage, you, Mr. Christian Michel, accept that this indeed was a letter that you sent across to your bosses at Finmeccanica?
Well, I tell you what, to be quite honest, if I was under oath, I'd have to say it was 8 years ago. I have no idea if I wrote it. But the content of that letter doesn't seem to me to be unreasonable for a competition, for members inside a competition to be writing to each other. Both sides were trying to disqualify each other.
Mr. Michel, I'm glad that you've accepted that you did write this note, because then I want to flip the page and come to page 2 of this point 6.
I don't remember writing it.
With respect, Mr. Michel, point 6, where you write about the CCS, the Cabinet Committee on Security, and I want to quote to you, Mr. Michel, and I want our viewers to listen very carefully to what I'm saying next. You're saying about the Cabinet Committee on Security, Mr. Michel, our attention is fixed on them. A spokesperson has been appointed from the CCS this week to interact with us and to facilitate an understanding with this body. You're suggesting that the Cabinet Committee on Security appointed a spokesperson to interact with you and to facilitate this deal, Mr. Michel.
If there was a member appointed to it would have been an official appointment to examine and question various items of the proposal. And I imagine that was done with all the competitors.
So you're accepting that the CCS did appoint a member as a spokesperson to liaise with you and, as you say, to interact with you and to facilitate this understanding?
No, I have no idea. But what I am saying, if that was done at that time, it will have been done officially and to all competitors.
Can I just tell you and our viewers that the Cabinet Committee on Security does not deal with arms companies. It is not meant to talk to any middleman who's been appointed by Augusta. It's not supposed to have any interaction with the outside world. They only look at whatever decisions the MOD and the Price Negotiation Committee have taken, Mr. Michel.
But I can assure you and be quite clear about it. There is no interaction with the Cabinet Committee of Security that wasn't authorized, if there was any. I'm sure of that.
How do people who are watching this know that what you're saying at this time? You're not under oath. You're speaking via Skype from the UAE. How do we know that what you're saying now is true? Because people have read your notes now, this expose, rocked Parliament, everyone across the country talking about this investigation right now. How do we know what you're saying right now is true, Mr. Michel?
Because I've been questioned about these already in Italy, and it was accepted and proven. That this
so
is
I will
not
tell
accurate.
you what was accepted and proven in Italy. The case in Italy was about Guido Haschke and Carlo Gerosa, and the prosecution focused their efforts on trying to prosecute them. They were successful in obtaining their prosecution, which means somebody in the VVIP chopper deal gave a bribe. The people who gave the bribe were prosecuted and convicted. The question now is, who took the bribe?
No, sorry. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. They were not prosecuted. Carlo Girosa has never been prosecuted. That's a matter of fact. And Hashki did a plea bargain and was never investigated. So it ended there.
No, he did do a plea bargain, but the courts did find him guilty. The courts did find him guilty of his role, which is why he did a double jeopardy and managed to get away. So he may not have served his sentence, but the fact is the courts accepted that they were guilty of paying bribes. This is on record in the Italian courts, Mr. Michel.
May I correct you on a point of law? And people, your viewers will know this. A plea bargain in Italy is not an accept of guilt. It's merely a tool to avoid further prosecution. That is why Hashki couldn't get away with double jeopardy. And that's why he went on Interpol, because he has not been tried. He has not been convicted. He has not been investigated. That is completely wrong. It's wrong in law. It's wrong in fact. And it's thoroughly well documented. And everyone who's seen the recent news has seen Hashki's picture on the Interpol. It could not be there if he was subject to double jeopardy. It is a fact.
I want to quote to you from some of the other letters that you've written. In this one letter that you've written, it says one agreement for 42 million euros and the other for 28 million, not less than 5% of the contract value with the family. The family want their agreement honored, as the 28 million euro has only just come to light. It is unworkable at this stage, and then you go on. Everyone wants to know who's the family you're referring to, Mr. Michel.
Right. Well, first thing, is that a typed note with handwriting at the bottom? So we make sure we're talking about the same document.
There is a typed note. There is some handwriting at the bottom. That is correct. But the portion I'm talking about is from the typed text.
So, yeah, let me say something now. This will be understood very well by your viewers. Hashki had been caught on phone taps saying some very outrageous things, which were very difficult to explain. One of his quotes, and I'm quoting you now, is, "We are really a money laundering operation." That's what he said. Then he said in another telephone intercept, if they find out what happened to the money in Mauritius, Mr. Guido Hashki states he will be skinned alive. Once you've made these statements, you have nowhere to go but to try and make a deal with the prosecutor. To make a deal with the prosecutor, you have to give him something. That black bag that was found under Hashki's mother's bed was discovered because in another phone tap, Hashki happened to mention that all his secrets were hidden under his mother's bed in a black bag. This is a Hawala scam which we've seen every year for the past 30 years in India. If you think you're going to be raided, you leave something in your safe that brings everyone you can think of into the investigation. And that's how you so cloud the investigation that they'll never get to the truth. And frankly, we are now so clouded that we're never going to get to the truth. It is ridiculous to think that the entire government, the entire procurement branch, and the entire military were all involved. Who can possibly get every single one of them in? According to that note, they're all in there. But now, to answer your final question, sorry, please go ahead.
Mr. Michel, you know, our investigation shows that you undertook 300 trips to India between 1997 and 2013 from the United Arab Emirates. So in just these years, you've come 300 times. Now, surely that's not for tourism. That's not just a regular visit. You are coming more than 300 times. What were you doing in India that frequently?
Well, it's absolutely true. I travel to India every chance I can, and I'm very sad not to be there right now. I love India. I was living and working in Dubai. It's a 3-hour flight. Every weekend, I travel to India to spend the weekend. I enjoy myself a great deal in India. I was there a lot. And yes, I did have other businesses in India too, which I was pursuing. And it facilitated me having to go to India many, many times. But I love your country. I used to travel to Jaipur every weekend. I love the place. I enjoy my travels. I've been all over India. I think it's a fabulous country. And I'm really sorry that I can't do another 300 in the coming years. You
could, because the CBI is looking for you. They'd like to interrogate you.
With a bit of help from news channels like yours, we will get to the bottom of this.
We are trying our best to get to the bottom at this. That I can guarantee to you, Mr. Michel.
I appreciate
the CBI would like to interrogate you. Like you're taking questions from me, would you not like to take questions from the CBI as well? You're suggesting that somehow it was Mr. Guido Hashke who who fixed you. He's the one who kind of made it seem as if you were the middleman paying off the bribes. You believe it was Guido Hashke. If it was, shouldn't you speak to the CBI and let the CBI know the truth?
Yes, I should. You're absolutely right. And I am trying to find a way which doesn't involve incarceration. That is my problem, which is a reasonable issue to be concerned about.
So what way can be found from this? There's an Interpol red collar notice against you. As far as the law is concerned, you're a fugitive at this time. The government could, at some point in time when a charge sheet has been filed against you, begin extradition proceedings. I'm told that the charge sheet could be filed in about a month from now. Would you rather wait for a charge sheet to file for the government to ask the UAE government to extradite you, or are you willing to come and depose before the CBI?
Well, I tell you what, I think that's something in which I'm trying to get legal advice on to find what is the best way to go forward on this. I mean, your question is very valid. I don't know the answer to your question right now. I am considering it. I'm trying to work it out. If I was to come to India, I'd have to make certain arrangements to have my family taken care of before I go. I would, and I'm sure your viewers won't believe this, but I would very much like to come to India if I can find a way.
What you're saying is interesting.
Because I have one enemy in the world I would like to settle.
What you're saying, Mr. Michel, is interesting. You're telling our viewers live on India Today TV that you would like to come to India, and at this time you're trying to find a way to make that possible. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. If I could get some agreement that there will be no incarceration and I'm free to travel, I would come. But I understand that's difficult. I've offered the CBI an opportunity to come here, and I understand from them that's also difficult. So we're at an impasse, but we're trying to work out a solution.
Do you have a possible solution in mind, Mr. Michel?
Well, I might do, but I don't want to talk about it just yet. I need to find see if there is a precedent for such an action.
Could you give us a hint about what that could be? Because that would be significant, because the CBI is looking out for you, and as you said, there are several names being tossed around, and it's important to establish who out of them did receive bribes and who didn't, otherwise the whole lot gets tarnished. So you're saying you have found what you believe is a middle way which could lead to you coming and deposing before the CBI.
No, I'm investigating if there is a middle way. I've put a few more ideas to my lawyers. I'm waiting for people to come back to me with recommendations.
And you would like to come to India to depose before the Central Bureau of Investigation?
If it's possible, and I can do it in such a way that doesn't mean I'm going to spend years incarcerated while the due process goes forward, then yes.
What would you tell the CBI interrogators
find a way.
when you came face to face? You say you want to come face to face with the CBI. What would you tell them? The biggest question, Mr. Christian Michel, is this: who was paid bribes in the VVIP chopper scam? As somebody who had been appointed by Finmechanica, what do you, Christian Michel, know?
Well, I tell you what I know. I know that there was a lot of strange things going on inside Hashke's organization. There were, in 2009, Hashke told me that he has to make payments to members of Finmechanica, which he's named a few of them in court, and he said to certain influential people without explaining who they were. I refused. From that point, we became bitter enemies, which was why I was not surprised when forged documents and falsified signatures and lies about budget sheets all came out. And all of this I've proven. The budget sheet, by the way, I have a witness who also confirms that no budget sheet was ever dictated by me at the time claimed. And if it was a budget sheet that Hashke wrote, why didn't I write it? Why was I dictating to him? I can write capitals. I know I'm dyslexic. I have trouble with handwriting, but I certainly would be capable of writing a budget sheet. It's all false. I want to bring this out. Once we've cleared away all the falsehoods, then we're left with the correct area to investigate.
So you're saying, Mr. Christian Michel, that you believe that Guido Hashke paid off people in India, that people were paid by Guido Hashke, they were paid bribes? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, I don't know. I'm not. If I told you that, I would be lying. I don't know. What I do know is if you send money from Italy to Tunisia, from Tunisia to Mauritius, you're doing it for a reason, and the reason is to cover your activity, to hide it. I've been audited 4 times, 1 time forensically. I've been audited by the director of the Bank of Italy. I've been questioned externally 4 times. There has been no wrongdoing found. All my accounts, my private accounts, have all been gone through. There are no payments there, no illegal payments. So we know where the action took place. It's in Mauritius. If we can get to Mauritius, we will solve this story.
How do you believe the story can be solved? Who are the people who can solve this story? What should the CBI be looking out for, Mr. Michel?
Well, there are two sets of people, by the way, trying to solve this story. I have made a criminal complaint about Mr. Guido Hashki in the Milan court, which is processing. The hearing date is now 2018. I have to be patient. We'll get there. I'm also suing him civilly in Switzerland for lying, for forgery, and for perjury, where it's quite a large court case. He hasn't attended the court cases. He's now free to travel. The fact he's been taken off the notice means he can travel between borders in Europe. There are no borders. He can go to Spain, Italy, Germany. I can't find him. He doesn't attend the court hearings. He's let free. If I can get him, I will. If I can get to the bottom of the truth, I will. And I have resources. Also, the CBI are doing their work. But I do think that the forgeries he put in his black bag has thrown us all into a spin. People claim I know the Gandhis, but there's no photograph. There's no evidence of me having ever communicated with them. I've never met them in a cocktail party. We're going the wrong direction. And of course, I would say that, and I understand your viewers have a right to disbelieve me, and that's fair enough, and that's their opinion.
No, but your father, Wolfgang Michel, was a well-known socialite on the Delhi party scene in the 80s. It is widely believed that you took forward his legacy.
Well, my father
and that you have political connections in India, Mr. Michel.
Now, I'm afraid my father and I, in his failing years, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. We kept a distance from each other. My father never introduced me to his political contacts.
So you're saying you don't know any politician in India? There's no one in... You made 300 trips between 1997 and 2013, and there isn't a single Indian politician you know. Is that what you'd like our viewers to believe, Mr. Michel?
No, I was friends with some politicians in Hyderabad in the good old days. When life was much more simple and far less treacherous. But of the new lot, I'm to be quite honest, politics in India has become too aggressive and too dangerous to get involved. I think as a businessman to be involved in politics, you are asking for trouble.
I want to come now.
It has no place in business.
I want to come now to this supposed budget sheet, where you've got the names of Air Force officers at the top, you've got the names of bureaucrats in the middle, and you've got the initials of politicians at the bottom. And then there is a certain AP in front of whom there's the figure 3, then there's a certain FAM, which is supposed to be a short form for family, in front of whom there's the figure 1516. In front of bureaucrats, it's 8.4 million euros. In front of Air Force officers, it's 6 million euros. Would you care to explain to our viewers what these figures mean, Mr. Michel?
Oh, well, I mean, I can guess, and that's all it is, what they mean. In Mr. Hashki's statement to the prosecutor, he said that I dictated the budget sheet. This is what he's saying, allegedly. I didn't, but he's saying I did. He said, I dictated it to him in my London office in front of a business colleague of mine. Now, the business colleague who is supposed to be present has given an affidavit saying he attended no such meeting. I have no recollection of this and certainly would remember such a thing. So of the 3 people present at the meeting, only one claims it took place. The other 2, no, it didn't happen. The next point about this budget sheet is Hashki claims on that day when he was being cross-examined by the prosecutor that he had to write out the budget sheet because I can't write. Then within 2 hours of the same session under the prosecutor, he said, on the share split, I wrote the writing at the bottom. I mean, he's not even vaguely credible as a witness. And even in the first hearing, the judge said that his statements are unreliable. Oh, and by the way, after he made the deal with the prosecutor, said the corruption had taken place, everyone was bribing everybody, he then went to Reuters and said it's all lies, there was no corruption, I didn't tell the truth. And I can give you a copy of his article to Reuters. So this is a witness, a credible witness, who we're using to damage India's reputation, to destroy the normal progress of Parliament, to smear honourable leaders of both houses. It's unacceptable. This is a nobody, man. This is a little criminal who needs to be brought to justice and has no right to damage a great country like India or my reputation. It's ridiculous.
But Mr. Michel, I want to quote to you
I'm not hiding.
India Report number 22.
Yep.
Sent by you on the 22nd of May 2018, 22nd of May 2008. This is sent via fax. I can read to you the fax number. You've sent it to Guido Hashke. I read to you clause 6, where you say we have now entered into the next stage, the contract negotiation committee. And then you go on to describe what is taking place in Indian meetings, in internal meetings. You're saying this high-powered meeting is responsible for price negotiation. They had their first meeting last week of 15th of May and have been meeting every day since. The following points have been noted, discussed and minuted. Budget for green aircraft, 78 to 80 crores for the US, 92 crores for the UK. Then you go on to say, this committee states that we will have to identify our offset vendors. The R&R engine will not be acceptable. That's Rolls-Royce. The noise level in both aircraft is too high for non-VIP. The increased soundproofing in our machine means a weight increase of 2 passengers. AgustaWestland is being called to explain and clarify some of the partial compliances in the next 2 months. Arun Kumar has been confirmed as a new member of the PNC. The RM, the Raksha Mantri, has been briefed and permission is awaited to call the US officially to thank them for their participation and to tell them that they are no longer required. How did you know, Mr. Michel, what was going on inside India's price negotiation committee meetings?
Right, well, look, first thing about that, that one can easily have been spliced or added to. It's not difficult with the facts to simply add bits and then photocopy it. So bear that in mind. Secondly, during the negotiation, all the teams met repeatedly for hours and hours and hours with Air Force officers, with bureaucrats, to discuss the progress, what's the timeline, what's going to happen next. And on top of that, you have the media reporting on the deal every day, where it is, what's going on. A lot of that is public domain, I am quite sure of, because it was being the negotiation was being covered by all the major outlets, which was always there. And also in Delhi, you hear a lot about what's going on just in the rumor mill, but certainly none of that would have come from
these
inside
aren't specific. These aren't random rumors. These are very specific insights into what's going on. You have over here on the same page, page number 22.
Example,
I'm quoting to you, just 1 second, sir. Work and dangers. Christian Michel, I'm reading to you what you've written. We have been severely reprimanded for what went into the media, though we were not responsible. We explained that the article has been traced back to the US Embassy. The minister has not confirmed. The minister has not confirmed. We are the only contender. The US will be putting pressure on the government of India. We have a price problem, you say. You're saying yourself, Mr. Christian Michel, we have a price problem.
Every
we are going to have to work with the bureaucrats to justify our price. You say the problem can be justified and solved. Our necessary political initiative will soon be in place along with the meeting. This will help push the cabinet decision. What is this political initiative you refer to, Christian Michel?
Well, I would imagine, and I would have to check back, but I imagine that was a phone call from the English Prime Minister, which used to happen all the time, as representatives of the American and the Russian at the time before they were disqualified would ring up and recommend their product. That's quite normal.
So you're saying the political initiative that you refer to is getting the British Prime Minister to call the Indian Prime Minister. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Michel?
Well, that would be a normal step in any such deal.
So how do you then know, even before it has happened, that the Raksha Mantri has been briefed to call the United States officially and to thank them for their participation and to inform them that they're no longer required? How did you know what the Raksha Mantri was going to do?
If I remember rightly, 3 times in the press it was announced that the company had won months before the decision was taken.
No, but you seem to have had an in. You seem to have had people, like you say the CCS appointed a spokesperson to deal with you. You seem to have had people on the inside giving you ought not to have known.
No, but you have to remember, look, when you have 5 or 6 people in front of the Indian side, 5 or 6, they glean a great deal of information. My job was to debrief after the meetings, discuss what we should be doing next and report back. A lot of this stuff was picked up by the negotiating team.
But middlemen are banned. Middlemen cannot officially be coming into price negotiation
I was not
meetings.
involved. I was a consultant with a legal contract.
Sir, I want to quote to you 6th of February 2009. The CNC report is prepared and set up. CNC is the Contract Negotiation Committee. The Joint Secretary to the Cabinet has prepared his report. The JS is positive and points out that if the file is not cleared by the CCS, the funds will lapse and this will be politically embarrassing. The Raksha Mantri has cleared the file which allows it to pass to the CCS. There is a problem with the CCS. The Cabinet meeting is going to be held on the 12th of November. We are struggling to have our files cleared. We have come into the agenda now. Please understand, to achieve this is a huge challenge. To pass this stage should take 6 months. Every friend, every tool, every contact is being used and is running at full roar to achieve this goal. These are your own words, Christian Michel.
Yeah, but why do you assume, first of all, I don't know if they're my words, but secondly, why do you assume that when we say every contact, this can be ambassadorial, this can be legal, political, this can be pushing through interaction with the user at the official level, all of those actions are how you push a deal forward.
How did you know that a cabinet
do you have
meeting
to assume
on
that implies
security...
corruption?
So, one second. We run a network of 500 correspondents. Very often we don't find out that a CCS meeting is going to take place hours before it actually does. Here you are on the 6th of February. One second, Mr. Christian Michel. On the 6th of February, 6 days before this meeting actually takes place, you are informing Mr. Orsi that the CCS meeting will take place on the 12th of February. You're telling him what the agenda is. You're telling him what the notings of the Joint Secretary on the Cabinet note are. How do you know all this information, Mr. Michel?
Well, how do you know it wasn't already out in the public domain? I've seen many times such meetings being covered by media.
Sir, the Cabinet Committee notes, especially the Cabinet Committee on Security, are never out in the public domain in this fashion.
Sorry, beg your pardon.
And 6 days before a CCS meeting takes place, nobody has any clue about what's the agenda unless you're paying somebody and have somebody in the inside giving you this information, Mr. Michel.
Yeah, but we've already been through this payment issue. There is no evidence of any impropriety or any wrong payments.
Yes, so you are finding out a week in advance about the agenda for the CCS meeting. You're finding out what the Joint Secretary is telling the Cabinet, and you're finding out that the CNC report is prepared. You know when these meetings are taking place, and you want us to believe that for the love of God, people are telling you all of this for free, Mr. Christian Michel. Is that what you're saying?
No. Let me tell you. Can I answer that?
Please do.
May I explain? When there are going to be important events taking place, very often the customer calls in the supplier to check and to reconfirm and to make sure what they're doing is correct. From this, we can glean exactly what's going on. It's very easy to tell, and it's quite normal.
How is this normal? Knowing 6 days in advance before a CCS meeting takes place is not normal. It may be normal in your world, in the real world it's not, Mr. Michel.
Can I answer that question?
Please do.
If you're called in for an unscheduled meeting and ask specific questions because certain things have to be clarified before any progress can be made, you know what's going on. You know immediately. And if the team report back to me that we have received these questions and need an urgent answer, then we know what's going on. It's quite obvious. It's not rocket science.
So on the 11th of March 2009, in a mail sent to Lugano in Switzerland with the title Flock of Seagulls, I want to remind you what you've written, sir. Could you ask the gentleman to check with the NSA, the National Security Advisor, if the VIP is on the agenda for the next CCS this week? The VIP is the VIP chopper deal. You're asking this gentleman, and I'd like dearly to know from you who this gentleman is, Christian Michel. Who is this gentleman?
Well, first of all, I have no idea what that is. But you said sent to Lugano.
Attention, Lugano. The mail title is Flock of Seagulls, 11th of March 2009. You're saying, I can read to you what you've said. We've met with the customer, clarified a number of things. We cannot amortize our costs and keep the program sensibly priced on a fixed contract for 2 years, plus option of 3. We can only sign a 5-year contract. You go on. I want to come to the operative part. You say, could you ask the gentleman to check with the National Security Advisor if the VIP chopper deal is on the agenda for the CCS next week? Who is this gentleman, Christian Michel?
You know, first of all, Flock of Seagulls doesn't refer to VVIP. So I don't understand why
you've got VIP written. What code language you were using, which phrase meant what is something only you can explain, Christian Michel.
You'll have to read the last part to me again. Ask the National Security Advisor.
Sir, I'll read to you. Originally, we were quoting on 5 years at 30 hours per month. Now they've come to us to quote at 60 hours per month. This is a big difference in our costs. The price with all this in mind would have to be 3.5 million per quarter. You could also mention that Jack met with Lee, and Lee will be calling him to confirm all our discussions before writing any agreements. We can only sign a 5-year contract. The customer wants to fly 60 hours per month at 90% availability. The final paragraph is, could you ask the gentleman to check with the National Security Advisor if the VIP is on the agenda for the next CCS next week, this week?
Well, the last comment, I don't know what that's about, but the first comment, I can tell you that's about a leasing contract. But I don't know what this
suits you, you accept is yours. In that same email, what doesn't suit you, you claim you have no idea about, Christian Michel. How will anybody believe this?
Well, this is, why is it mixed up with a leasing contract? Why is that bit stuck on the bottom, is my question.
No, that's only something
when
you
we're
can
talking
explain,
about
Christian
something
Michel.
else.
How can I?
I beg your pardon?
So that's something only you can explain. You're the one who wrote these emails. On the 31st of July, 2009, you confirmed it is confirmed that our file is with the Prime Minister's office. Last night, the cabinet met to discuss economic and military affairs. The Prime Minister stated that all ministers had been circulated a cabinet note for the procurement of 6. The Prime Minister asked if any minister has any queries on the file. Their questions are to be forwarded to the Cabinet Secretary immediately so that they can be addressed before the CCS meeting takes place. On this file can be cleared before the next CCS. Now tell me, sir, what Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was saying, to whom in his cabinet, what was discussed, how was this information reaching to you, Christian Michel? You must tell us. Everyone watching this broadcast needs and deserves to know.
Yeah, the point about your email there is that has been, the first part I recognize, the second bit I have no knowledge of. That could easily have been spliced. That is not an email I recognize.
How is that even possible? I just want to show our viewers. Can we just zoom into this, please? 1 second. Let's just zoom in for a moment, please. I'm going to hold this up. The camera is going to come in. 31st of July 2009, it is confirmed that our file is with the Prime Minister's office. Last night, the cabinet met to discuss economic affairs. The Prime Minister stated that all ministers had been circulated the cabinet note for the procurement of the 6. The PM requested that if any minister has any queries on the file, their questions should be forwarded to the Cabinet Secretary immediately so that they can be asked to be addressed before the next CCS meeting takes place. How do you, Christian Michel, know what Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was telling his cabinet?
Well, I don't even know what the 6 you're referring to are. 6 of what?
It is in your mail. How am I supposed to know? You need to explain that to us.
Well, then wait a second. You're now assuming that everything in Guido Hashki's bag is mine. I've already told you. The 2 forgeries that I had to shoot down and spend a great deal of money getting attestations from lawyers and calligraphers were found to be forgeries.
Sir, this is not about any other deal, because I just want to come down. I just want to come down this page and read to you what's happening next. You're saying, can a letter be sent to the new Defence Secretary congratulating him on taking over tomorrow? His name is Pradeep. You go on and give his name. So this is obviously to do with the same deal. There is no doubt about it. There can be no question about it.
But what's it talking about 6 or 6 off or 6 whatever it was? And why would I need to ask anyone if we can write congratulating? The company is always right as a matter of protocol, congratulating or thanking for meetings or appointments.
Okay, so tell me, I can go on and we can continue this interaction for a while, but in conclusion, I want to ask you, Christian Michel, what happens next? Because this investigation that India Today put out rocked Parliament today. Everyone across the country wants to know who is this AP, who is this family you refer to. They want to know who are the bureaucrats, who are the Air Force officers. They want to know about these emails which you accept that you send, some of which at least you accept that you send, others you claim you have no idea about. This mystery must be unraveled, and you must help, especially if you believe that you are not guilty, help unravel this mystery, Mr. Michel.
Well, absolutely, but you've done it again. We keep going around in circles. We go back to the budget sheet, which I have debunked. We go back to the share split, which I've debunked.
I'm saying you must answer these questions.
Whatever else he put into his bag.
Before the CBI, you must answer these questions under CRPC 164 so that it's admissible as evidence.
I do agree with you. I do agree. I need to sit in front of the CBI. I do agree with you.
How do we do that? How do we do that?
Well, I've got to keep looking for a way. I mean, ultimately, I think it's quite clear that one way or the other, I will be in front of the CBI. We both know that.
How soon do you see that happen, Christian Michel?
Well, that's all I'm trying to do is accelerate the process, because the country is in a horrible position. I'm in a horrible position. I hate what's going on. I'm sure no one is getting any pleasure out of this in government or in opposition. So we need to find a way to move it along.
Do you think this is a matter of weeks? Do you think this is a matter of years? Do you think it will be a matter of months before you actually come face to face with the CBI?
You know, sir, if you'd said to me this last year, I would have said it would be 6 months, and that was a year ago. So
what's your latest
we don't
assessment?
seem to be making the kind of progress I was hoping.
What is your latest assessment, Mr. Michel?
So I beg your pardon.
What's your latest assessment? How soon do you
well,
hope
look, it's
to
got
be
to be
before the
cleared up
CBI?
early next year. This can't go on in 2017.
You're saying
One way or another, we have to find a solution.
You're saying before the year is done, you will come face to face with the CBI, Christian Michel.
Well, if we can find, I'm sorry, I sound like I'm avoiding the question. I'm trying not to avoid the question, but I don't want to give a wrong answer. If we can find a mutually acceptable route, and as time passes, I know I'm going to have to give in on a few points. But let's see how we can progress this.
No, because the noose is closing on you. The fact is that the Tyagi brothers have already been arrested. The CBI believes, they've said in court that they have a very strong case against them. The attention next is going to focus on having the first charge sheet out. That charge sheet, we're told, will have your name. Once it has your name, then you can officially be asked for extradition. The Indian government can approach the government in the UAE, with whom they have an extradition treaty, and ask for you to be sent back to India, to be sent to India.
Yeah. Now, all of what you're saying is correct, which is why we are under the clock to find a solution. So I do have to find one. You are absolutely right.
So you realize, Christian Michel, that your time could be running out, that you will have to face Indian prosecutors and Indian investigators very soon.
Well, I have to be honest, I don't have a problem facing them. I mean, that will come. The only problem I have is I'm trying not to be incarcerated for years while the process takes place, as I have a young family and I have people to look after, which I'll not be able to do.
I'm going to leave it there. Christian Michel, you've said several things. Most prominently, you've accepted that some of these emails at least are indeed yours. Some of these faxes have been sent by you. You're disputing some of the things that are being sent, but at least as a beginning, you're accepting that some of them are yours. You're also saying that it's common knowledge to know what the Prime Minister is going to be doing in a CCS meeting, who's saying what. It is not. It is absolutely not okay for outsiders to know what's going on in a cabinet committee
sometimes it is, sometimes
on security meeting. No, sir, it's not. I don't know how you can say it is okay. It's not okay for someone sitting outside to know 6 days before a CCS meeting takes place that a meeting is about to take place, and also know what the agenda of this meeting is. Once the meeting gets over, to know which minister said what to whom. This is not acceptable. This is not okay, Christian Michel. It can never be.
No, I'm not saying it's acceptable. First of all, we don't know if that's my email. I need to look at it. Secondly, we don't know the circumstances. If that was an open meeting, what sort of a meeting it was, we have no idea. We don't know anything about this.
Cabinet Committee on Security meetings, Mr. Christian Michel, are never open. I've been in this business for 2 decades now. No one ever is supposed to know what the agenda is. And we would dearly like to know, before a court of law, on a sworn affidavit, what you have to say when these questions are posed to you. It's at least interesting that you're saying
my answer to that is still the same. If in meetings you're asked leading questions, the team who are being negotiated with are asked leading questions, they know what the purpose of the questions are. It's quite obvious from the form of the questions what's going on.
Anyway, we hope that when you're before the CBI, they can ask you the questions they need you to answer, and that we will make some forward movement on this case finally. Christian Michel, thank you for answering our questions, and I hope that you're before the CBI soon to answer their questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.